Hey, sixth graders. So, as we've been getting into our books, many of you are starting to notice that your books are loaded with different stories. It will seem like your book is teaching a bunch of facts about one topic, and then all of a sudden there's a story. Sometimes the story is about someone famous, like Beyonce, who was shy when she was younger and is now a multi-award winning artist. Others are about people we've never heard of, like the man who opened a Domino's restaurant and barely made enough money to survive. Maybe sometimes you read those stories and then power on to the next text that seems to be teaching you more directly. Well, Russell Friedman, a nonfiction author based out of New York City, once said, "A nonfiction writer is a storyteller who has taken an oath to the truth." Stories are a major way nonfiction writers get across the true information of their topic. So paying attention to the stories authors embed is really important. So for today's teaching point, I want to teach you that nonfiction readers know that authors embed stories for a reason. Nonfiction readers therefore pay careful attention to the stories to determine how they carry on an author's central ideas. So let's try this out together. I was reading more Fast Food Nation and I came across a story that started off a section called Throughout, whatever that means. So will you help me figure out how this story can carry some of the central ideas in the text? One central idea we already generated was fast food companies take advantage of people to make money, whether it's kids or low-income workers. So I'm going to read an excerpt from Fast Food Nation on pages 67 to 68. And you can read along with me on the paper pieces that Miss Julia and I have already passed out to you in class. Every Saturday, Elsa Xema gets up at 5:15 in the morning. It's a struggle and her head feels groggy as she steps into the shower. Her little sisters, Cookie and Sabrina, are fast asleep in their beds. By 5:30, Elsa's showered, done her hair, and put on her McDonald's uniform. She's 16, bright-eyed and olive-skinned, pretty and petite, ready for another day of work. Elisa's mother usually drives her the half mile or so to the restaurant, but sometimes Elisa walks, leaving home before the sun rises. Her family's modest townhouse sits beside a busy highway on the south side of Colorado Springs in a largely poor and working-class neighborhood. Throughout the day, sounds of traffic fill the house, the steady whoosh of passing cars. But when Eliza heads for work, the streets are quiet. The sky's still dark, and the lights are out in the small houses and rental apartments along the road. When Elisa arrives at McDonald's, the manager unlocks the door and lets her in. Sometimes the husband and wife cleaning crew are just finishing up. More often, it's just Elisa and the manager in the restaurant, surrounded by an empty parking lot. For the next hour or so, the two of them get everything ready. They turn on the ovens and grills. They go downstairs into the basement and get food and supplies for the morning shift. They get the paper cups, wrappers, cardboard containers, and packages of condiments. They step into the big freezer and get the frozen bacon, the frozen pancakes, and the frozen cinnamon rolls. They get the frozen hash browns, the frozen biscuits, the frozen McMuffins. They get the cartons of scrambled egg mix and orange juice mix. They bring the food upstairs and start preparing it before any customers appear, thawing out some things in the microwave and cooking other things on the grill. They put the cooked food in special cabinets and keep it warm. The restaurant opens for business at 7 o'clock, and for the next hour or so, Elisa and the manager hold down the fort, handling all the orders. As the place starts to get busy, the other employees arrive. Elisa works behind the counter. She takes orders and hands food to customers from breakfast through lunch. When she finally walks home after 7 hours of standing at a cash register, her feet hurt. She's wiped out. She comes through the front door, flops onto the living room couch, and turns on the TV. It sounds like me. And the next morning, she gets up at 5:15 again and starts the same routine. All right. So I want to remind you that strong readers consider how stories might connect to the central ideas of a text. And our central idea was that fast food companies take advantage of people to make money, whether it's kids or low-income workers. So let's have a turn and talk. I want you to find a partner, point. You're going to pick a partner and you're going to discuss this question. How does this story connect to the central idea we've revised yesterday? That fast food companies take advantage of people to make money, whether it's kids or low-income workers. Or might it be introducing a new central idea? Ready? Go. All right, so I heard some of you discussing, and you said that the section was evidence. This section was evidence of our central idea because it seems like they're working Elisa really hard. She's working super hard. Okay, she's tired, she comes home and just wants to plop on the couch, right? And that was found on page 68 because you always want to put a page number if you can. And I see, I'm just pointing, it's in parentheses right here. So do you see how I just approach a story embedded in our nonfiction text differently than a fiction reader would? I also noticed what the story was teaching, and then considered how it could fit with the central ideas in the text, which leads us to discover more possible central ideas. Here's a teacher tip. The stories in your nonfiction books are fascinating, and it's easy to get lost in them. But it's important to remember that the stories are also teaching information. Instead of saying that Elisa is determined, push yourselves, challenge yourselves to consider what the story might be teaching you. Remember to think, what is this story teaching us? And I also have today's mini lesson notes. Yes, I know the date is incorrect, but here is the area where you're going to continue to write today's notes and your own evidence that you come up with, or you can just copy my notes. Always remember that in the books you're reading now, there might be a dominant story that comes up throughout the book or small excerpts of stories that pop up from time to time. Either way, pay careful attention to those details and in those stories because those authors embed them in the text for a reason. Often they help illustrate the central ideas in the text. So if you have any more questions during independent work time, please remember to raise your hand and Miss Julie and I will come around and answer them at our convenience. So thank you for watching and have a great day.